All right, gentlemen, when it comes to the tactical, most people know this one for sure. The plasma rifle is one of his top choices for going through absolute. You are going to pair it with the fire rate version. You're going to have starting ammo of 156, and the whole reason we're taking the fire rate version is because we want extremely fast charge shots, but we also want our gun to overheat fast because we want to be at 30% overheat every time we're taking a shot, so we have 40% damage increase. And when you're talking about lethal and absolute, you're really not having a lot of time to sit back and really overcharge your gun. So this is going to allow you to, after one shot, you're definitely going to be hitting for 40% extra damage. It's just you're only going to have the opportunity to get off 3 fully charged shots before you overheat. But that is why we are tying in the 30% faster cooling to really counteract that. And then you're going to be mixing in your pistol and your chainsword as well. So this is a very, very strong build right now. It works well. I like to still pair it with the parry scan. We will go over some gear choices that you have now as well that you can switch up even with the plasma. But for me, this is exactly how I like to run my plasma build right now. I do take advantage of the parry scans from time to time when I get because the fire rate version charges so fast that you can really get off some charge shots after a parry scan as well. So this is definitely how I like to set mine up. And then it's going to tell you a little bit about the class perks you're going to have to really look out for. You're going to get 31 ammo every 30 seconds on a major kill. So that is like 1 shy ammo of 4 charge shots every 30 seconds. So that is very, very nice as well. And then you're going to see the weapon perks over there to the right that you are taking advantage of too. So this right here, probably his top build right now, but a close second, definitely very close second when it comes to Tyranid enemies, is the Stalker right now. The Stalker bolt rifle took a huge jump after patch 6.0. I know it said only 5% on the damage, but it is very noticeable, and you are really, really ripping through major enemies extremely easy. And then with this one right here, I do like to switch up my gear perks as well because I am looking for more of a powerful scan that lasts 8 seconds. So I'm looking for 150% bonus scan damage on major or higher enemies with this setup right here. And like I said before, the gear is going to be tailored to your playstyle and how you want to set it up. And then I also switching my team perk on this one and going with the 15% extra range damage just to, it's basically going to put my primary weapon at 25% extra damage, and it is extremely noticeable when you are throwing it on the Stalker bolt here. I do take the ammo version, and you are going to have a starting ammo of 78, and it is very, very easy to keep your ammo up as long as you are properly using your 1 mag every 30 seconds, after you get a major kill. You're going to stay high on ammo, and you're going to be able to pull through even on the harder difficulties, guys. And then after this one, another very, very good one. This one we all know about. I won't even have to talk about it too much. I do like to pair it with my parry scan, though, and the 120% now extra damage that it gives. So this is how I am setting up my MELTA build. I am taking the ammo version, and you will start with 25 ammo on this build right here. So, we all know what this weapon's all about. It is extremely powerful, even to this day, still very strong. It will take down extremist enemies, major enemies. The only way you are going to struggle is if you don't have anybody in your group, obviously, that can deal with boss-type enemies, because then, obviously, we all know that is where the MELTA falls off. Okay, and when it comes to these three right here, they are kind of in order in how powerful I find them. I have done Absolute and completed them on Absolute, but they are not as strong as the previous 3 builds that I mentioned. So with the bolt carbine, actually the bolt carbine is almost as strong as the previous builds I mentioned. As you're seeing that little yellow dot, that yellow dot up there is what I would take if I took the bolt carbine. That's the only thing that I would switch from the perks that you're seeing right now, is I would take the AoE damage one. It does feel pretty good now, and it does wipe out a bunch of majors. So the yellow dot, that is what I switch up for the bolt carbine. But the auto bolt and the heavy bolt rifle, that, I take exactly what you see on the screen minus the yellow dot. So very, very good for the bolt carbine. If you're using this thing properly, you're tying in your parry scans, and you're using your hip fire ability on it, that is when the bolt carbine can become very, very deadly on the tactical. And I would say it is just slightly behind the other 3 that I mentioned. And then a little more behind that would be the auto bolt. This thing, it feels a lot better. So if you haven't used this for a while, with the damage increases it got, the magazine increases it's got over the last 3 patches, this feels a lot better. and I think it feels better than the heavy bolt rifle, even though I do prefer the heavy bolt rifle because I like its perk tree a lot. The auto bolt feels better because of that fire rate, and because in higher difficulties you can't sit there and just fire for long periods of time. So, hitting the enemy with that extra fire rate for the limited amount of time you have to shoot is why I think the auto bolt right now feels better than the heavy bolt rifle. So I would say bolt carbine, if you're going to do some close combat and you're really, really good with using your parry scans and your hip fire, the bolt carbine will beat out the auto bolt. But if you're mid-range, then the auto bolt is, I think right now, is going to be your choice. And the heavy bolt rifle, if you have a good team, and definitely if you have somewhere where you can really sit back and open up on your enemies, then the heavy bolt rifle feels nice. But the auto bolt, I do think, beats it out, and I think it is mostly because of the fire rate, because I can't really find many more differences and to why it feels better. But trust me, I've tested both of these out in Absolute now, and the auto bolt does just feel better to me. Okay, so when we're looking at our gear options here, you can really swap these out with any of the builds that you're seeing up top just to, more kind of suit your playstyle. So my favorite one going left to right is going to be the parry scan for 120% increased damage. You're also going to get 50% return on your scan ability if you hit an extremist or level higher enemy. So that is very strong, but it does reduce the effectiveness of your traditional scan by the target cannot leave the zone area. So when they leave the zone area, you will no longer have the 120% effect on them, but it just pairs so well with the parry, and adding the scans that way is why I prefer it. And then the next one to the right is going to be the boss killer scan. It adds 150% damage for 8 seconds, and all you're paying attention to is the yellow dots. These 3 yellow dots in the gear perks is what's going to give you the results that you're seeing above them. And then next up, we have the parry add scan that adds 75% increased damage for 8 seconds. Now, the difference from this one to the first one, this one is not going to affect your scan as much. So now they can leave the area. It's going to be more your traditional scan. You scan the target and they stay scanned until it ends. Now, the first one that's going to add much more damage, obviously, like I said, your scan takes that hit of the target can leave the area of your scan and be unscanned. So that is the difference between those, and it's going to be how you want your scan to work depending on which one you're going to take. And then the last one to the right is going to be now, I think, is what your max damage scan is. It's 195% base damage and 270% equipment damage altogether, but your target cannot leave the zone area. So I think that is probably going to melt down enemies the fastest, but I do think it's like the weakest scan possibility you have, because you do lose your ability to parry scan, and then you also have a weak scan because the targets can, like I said before, they can leave the area on that one as well and not be scanned anymore. So if you were using the max damage one, it's really, you drop that thing right when you know that target is about to get hit with massive damage from you and your entire team. And that's the only way you can make it effective, because most things are moving around in the game. So these are just like 4 of some, quick ones you guys can go through and kind of switch up with the builds if you want. Or you can go with the traditional builds that I showed you across the board that I use. But, the gear options did change. There's probably more, obviously there is more possibilities in here to go through, but these are some of the 4 ones that I just wanted to make you guys aware of. And then I'm sure we'll find out about some more in the comments and things like that. But that is going to be for it for the tactical guys. Anything else new I come across, I will drop it here on the channel. So I do appreciate you checking out the video, and I will catch you on the next one.